Ahoy, welcome back to another video. Today, the Game Awards nominees were just released earlier this morning. I personally am a fan of the Game Awards. I know people have their issues with it. I have my issues with it as well, but it's something I look forward to every year. I like watching the announcements. I like looking at what recognition there is for the games and the developers and just kind of celebrating the year of games. One thing I like to do every year is go through all the nominees, and I enjoy voting and talking about the categories. So I figured I would do a video here doing just that. So Game Awards, December 12th. I want to go through the categories and kind of give my thoughts on the games I've played. I haven't played all of the games, all the big games this year, obviously, but I've played a fair amount, enough where I can probably talk to, hopefully, most of these categories. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I guess just start voting. Starting off with Game of the Year. Should I start with Game of the Year or should I come back to it? Let's go back to Game of the Year. Let's start with can we go from the bottom? So I'll skip stuff like previous esports team or best esports team. I don't know any of this stuff. Good for them. Esports game, content creator, don't know them. Most anticipated game. Okay, so here's the first big one. Death Stranding. Never played Death Stranding. It's weird. Looks weird. I'm sure it'll be fun. But I'm caught here between Ghost of Yotei and Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Monster Hunter Wilds I'm interested in. I liked Monster Hunter Rise from what I played. I'm sure I'll have fun with Monster Hunter Wilds. Not a big Grand Theft Auto guy myself. I love Ghost of Tsushima. But I also love Metroid. I think Metroid Prime 4 has been cooking for so long. It almost has. It's if it's as good as Metroid Prime 1, I'm calling that a win. But I think I'm going to go with Ghost of Yotei. Like I said, Ghost of Tsushima is one of my favorite games ever. I'm incredibly excited to see what Sucker Punch does with the sequel. Or the follow-up, whatever you want to call it. Oh, I got to sign in. Okay. One moment, please. All right, we're signed in. All right. So Ghost of Yotei gets the vote. Can I go previous category? I don't want to go next category. Damn it. Why you got to do it like this? Let's start then something. So I'll leave Game of the Year, best, these big ones. Let's start with something like best performance. And we'll go from there. So best performance, the only one of these games I've played is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So Brianna White, I think she's Aerith. I think, maybe not. Apologies if not, but gets my vote because that's the one game I played in that category. Innovation and accessibility. I personally don't have any opinion. Great to see this as a category. I don't have any strong feelings about who. Same thing for Games for Impact. Also don't have a strong opinion. Best ongoing. You know what? I got to give it to Fortnite. I feel Fortnite's kind of a meme pick here, but I've played a lot of Fortnite, and I do enjoy Fortnite. So it's going to get my vote. Yes, I'll keep voting. Best community support. I like what they did with Helldivers 2. How the community didn't the community have to vote on things, or maybe they didn't vote on things, but we had to choose in game what things to do. I thought that was a fun little gimmick to kind of dictate the path of how the narrative would go, the wider meta narrative. So I think that's a cool pick. We'll go with Helldivers. Best independent game. So of these, I've played Animal Well and Balatro, and it's going to go to Balatro. Balatro is one of my favorite games of the year. I think Balatro is an incredible game, and we'll talk more about that later. Animal Well was also a very good game, though. Not quite my favorite kind of Metroidvania, but had a really striking art style. It was a fun game, and it didn't overstay its welcome. I beat it in 2 sittings. Props to Animal Well. UFO 50 is one I want to get around to playing if it ever comes to the Switch, but I believe it's just on Steam right now. So if that comes to the Switch, I'll be all over it. But I'm going to go to Balatro. Best debut indie, same story. Animal Balatro. I've also played the Plucky Squire. I'm not quite as hot on the Plucky Squire as I am on Balatro or even Animal. Still a good game, but I got to give it to Balatro. Best mobile game. Balatro is a funny one because that just came to mobile, and like, I get it's a good game that's on mobile, but I kind of feel like I want to pick one of these mobile games for this. And I've heard good things about the Pokemon trading card game. I've watched some videos on it. I've had some friends say they enjoy it. I know I'll enjoy it once I get a new phone and I have the storage to download it. So I'm going to give the vote to Pokemon trading card game. Best VR AR. Don't have any VR headsets currently, but I'm a Batman mark. I love Batman, and I might get a MetaQuest 3 just for this for Christmas. So Batman Arkham Shadow gets my vote there, even though I just shouldn't actually vote on it. Best action game. I've only played Helldivers and Stellar Blade so far. I have Black Ops 6 downloaded to my Xbox. I have not actually turned it on yet. And Black Myth Wukong I'll be buying in December. Actually, I think it might be December 12th, the day of the Game Awards. The physical version's coming out for this game, so I'll be picking that up. But my vote goes to Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade's in my top 5 this year. I thought it was a great game. Shift Up did a fantastic job, and I wish that game got a little bit more flowers in these awards, but we'll get to that later. Best Action Adventure. Still working my way through Zelda. I'm enjoying that game. But between Astrobot and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, on my Game of the Year list, Astrobot is higher up than Prince of Persia, but I do feel like when it comes to action adventure, Prince of Persia kind of is more symbolic of that genre than Astrobot is. Astrobot is a platformer. I guess you could call it an action adventure game if you're being really broad strokes, but Prince of Persia is a fantastic game, and I feel like it's lost a little bit of love it coming out in January. I think this is the only category it's in. So vote goes to Prince of Persia. Great game. Best RPG. So here's one of the first pop-ups of the controversy game. If you have not been on social media, today one of the biggest controversies about the Game Awards was this: Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, a DLC expansion which got nominated for lots of big categories. I'm not too bothered by it. I love Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. It's currently sitting at my number 2 game of the year right now. I personally consider it a game, not an expansion, like as far as making my lists and stuff like that. I see why people are upset because it takes up slots from other deserving games that came out this year. But I mean, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree is a substantial expansion. I put a good 50 hours into it. It's a $40 price thing. It's a large enough thing to justify itself. I wonder if this was just released standalone. If this was not an add-on to Elden Ring, but they just called it a expandalone game, kind of like, think of what Miles Morales is to Spider-Man 2018. If they just released it separate for $40, I feel like this conversation wouldn't be happening. But because it's tied into the original base game, and it is a genuine DLC, it's like FromSoft games always are. You got to do their weird nonsense. It's not, you don't just click to start from the start menu. You got to play through your save to a certain point, and it's just an expansion of the main game. But even that being said, I still think I'm not hurt seeing it on this list. I know some people are, and I can respect that. But either way, all that aside, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is my best RPG so far. I'll be starting Metaphor once I beat Persona 3, which I'm still working through. Persona 3 would have been a good one for this category. Maybe it could have gone where Elden Ring was. I can see the criticism there. But Persona 3 is not going to show up, I don't think, at all in these lists. And I think the biggest culprit of that is Metaphor, kind of cannibalizing all the Persona votes. But either way, one of the biggest categories we've done so far, best RPG, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, one of my favorite games of the year. Best fighting game. Have not started or played Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Never played the Grand Blue Fantasy Versus fighting games. I did play Grand Blue Fantasy Is it just called Grand Blue Fantasy? I've already forgotten the RPG that came out in February. That was a great game. That's not this game though. So Tekken 8, a game I want to play. Multiverses, a game I couldn't care less about. Then Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. I did buy that one. I have played it with some friends and a little bit solo. Fun game. Gets my vote for best fighting game. Even though it's just a collection of old games, I haven't played anything else. Best family games. This is interesting. If I had to pick the best game in this category, I think Astrobot is easily the best game here. But if I had to pick which one is the best game appropriate for family play, I'm kind of tempted to do something like Plucky Squire. This game was a little too simple and not quite striking a chord with me personally, but I feel like if I was playing with maybe my nephew or niece or something, they would get a kick out of this. This would be something fun to play with, a younger family member. So I think for that, Plucky Squire gets my vote specifically as best family game. Astrobot is a much better game than it, but I will pick Plucky Squire for best family game. Best sim strategy game. Haven't played any of these games but Unicorn Overlord. Unicorn Overlord's a great game. I hope it gets some love here. Kinitsugami Path of the Goddess is a game I was mildly interested in, but it just kind of came and went. I didn't see much about it. Capcom, I think they had a investors thing. There's some sort of investors call like this week, and they said that this game underperformed and they feel like they didn't market it enough, which I can agree with that because I forgot this game came out. Maybe one day. Feels like a PS Plus game one day. It'll come to PS Plus. It's kind of what the vibes I get from that game. Maybe I'll check it out then. But nevertheless, Unicorn Overlord, Vanillaware, Sega, Atlas, great game. Best sports racing. I heard some pushback on this category too. Kind of baffling that NCAA Football 25 didn't make this list. That's the one sports game I have played this year. So can I click on through this one? Best multiplayer. I have not played Mario Party yet. Like I said, I haven't played Tekken 8. Warhammer piqued my interest, but I didn't play it either. And I have not got around to starting Black Ops 6 yet. So I think Helldivers will get this vote from me. By default, it is a very fun game. I have not played as much of it as I would like to have played, but I did enjoy myself every time I played it, so props to Arrowhead. I hope they can continue making more Helldivers games. Best adaptation. Have not watched any of these. Feels a little sacrilege. Knuckles should be at the end. Have a nice and Knuckles at the end. That'd be pretty funny. I want to watch Fallout the most. I'm probably not going to watch Arcane, Knuckles, Like a Dragon, or Tomb Raider. I've actually heard the Like a Dragon show is not very good. I want to watch Fallout the most, and maybe me clicking this will make Bethesda make a new Fallout faster. Most anticipated game, I already mentioned I got to this one at the beginning. So let's go back to the big categories at the beginning. Starting with best audio design. So audio design, that's not necessarily music, more like, technology around the design and how it's implemented. I've heard great things about Senua's Saga and Silent Hill 2, specifically for their audio design. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, great music. I'm sure there's some good audio design in there as well, but that's not coming to top of mind for me. Black Ops 6, I'm sure they've got some good 3D audio in there. But Astrobot, I think will get the vote for me here. I do like just all the little tippy taps you hear in this game. A lot of attention to detail with the small things, whether it be Astrobot running over different surfaces or like different, like maybe like rain hitting the ground, stuff like that. The way different parts of the environment interact with one another. The attention to detail with the small sounds definitely gets my vote there for Astrobot. Already voted on best performance. Gotta go. I'm gonna have to do this a weird way. Go back and forth. Best score and music. So Silent Hill 2. Can't talk to it. Stellar Blade. Not gonna get my vote, but a surprisingly good soundtrack. Some of it's a little more subdued and kind of in the background. But some really good tracks. Some good action tracks too. Was pleasantly surprised with the music of this game. I was pleasantly surprised with the game all around. It was a really fun game, but the music was kind of like a. I feel like it didn't get talked about as much, but it was a solid part of that package. Metaphor, I'm sure, has great music. Atlas has known for their music. I'm sure this has fantastic music. So it comes down to me between Astrobot and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's going to be Rebirth for me. There's a few songs in Rebirth specifically that really stick out to me. Whether it be just remixes of classics like Aerith's theme or the Final Fantasy VII theme itself. Those are all fantastic. But then things like the Gungaga theme. I really love that overworld Gungaga theme. And then Cosmo Canyon, all that stuff. I can't not pick Final Fantasy VII Rebirth for soundtrack. Astrobot also had a good soundtrack. But I feel like this soundtrack was more... It wasn't as additive as Rebirth was. There was a few songs in Astrobot I really liked, but I feel like more consistently, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth's music was really adding to the experience, and Astrobot's was maybe a little bit more often just kind of being in the background. It wasn't what I was focusing on, but sometimes in Rebirth I would stop and just listen to the music. So easy vote for me there for best music. Let's see, best art direction. This one I feel like I can almost pick a little bit just by looking at it. Astrobot, really fun, just like design concept with all the bots. Really fun, like Pixar look. Really enjoyed it. Black Myth, I feel like from what I've seen, like I said, I haven't played it. I'm going to play it next month. Kind of is going for realism. Shadow of the Erd Tree, some really dark gothic, really cool environments. But I almost want to pick Metaphor, even though I haven't played it yet. Just seeing some of the menus in the trailers and just seeing what I know Persona 3 has and some of that stuff and what I can kind of expect to find from Metaphor. And just a few things I've seen in the trailers. I feel a little weird picking it without playing it, but I feel like I can pretty much guarantee myself this is what I would pick had I had played it at the moment of this video. So a month from now, I can go back and watch this and comment if I was incorrect. Best narrative. This one's also going to be weird for me to pick because I didn't play Senua Saga, Silent Hill, or Like a Dragon. Like a Dragon is one of those games I wanted to play early in the year when I thought I had more time. So between Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, a game I've played, and Metaphor Refantasio, a game I have not played, I have to pick Final Fantasy VII here. I did enjoy Rebirth's story and some of the twists, and really some of just the character moments and the character interactions is really what carried me through the story. I don't love all the choices with the story. I am really hoping Part 3 can stick the landing because... I don't know, I feel like this game, it didn't ruin parts of the Final Fantasy VII story for me, but some of the moments did not hit like I hoped they were going to hit. But hopefully in Part 3 that can be addressed. I still did overall enjoy the story, so I will give the vote there. But I'm excited to see what Metaphor has in store. I'm sure that'll be a great ride once I get to it. Okay, best game direction. So you'll notice something, a little spoiler here. Best game direction and game of the year, they're the same 6 games. So I will try to explain what I think when I see game direction versus game of the year. When I see game direction, I'm looking at the loop of the game, like what is getting you ingrained in it, what is making you want to play it, what is how the game is built to make you enjoy it. So things like a narrative to me aren't as important in a game direction. Like the narrative almost feels like I feel like game direction and the narrative put together go to like the game of the year spot. I don't think that's entirely right. I feel like there's room for narrative in this game direction category, but that's how I differentiate these two categories because I think it's weird that there's always game direction and game of the year, and they have very similar games, and it's hard to parse what exactly you're supposed to be voting on. So that's how I tell it to myself. This is the gaminess side of it, and then the narrative is the narrative side of it, and then you put those together and you get the game of the year category. So from a gaminess perspective, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I thought had a really fun loop with the exploration, climbing the towers, doing the side quests, getting the materials, enemies in the overworld. I thought it was a really fun game. Some of the quests are not great. Some were good side quests. Some were just kind of grindy time waster quests, which I don't think gives me points there. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. This is just more Elden Ring. Maybe with a little bit more focus on the level design with the legacy dungeons. This was like if the base Elden Ring was kind of morphed with something like Dark Souls 3. It was focusing a little bit more on the more compact, handcrafted dungeons. So I do think that it's like it's a great game direction, but it's just more of what FromSoft's been doing. I don't want to fault them for that, but I also don't think this necessarily pushes anything over the edge over these other newer new games that are bringing new ideas to the table. Astrobot, a fantastic 3D platformer. Lots of nostalgia and just fan service, along with solid platforming, good music, like I mentioned, great audio design, great DualSense capabilities. Overall, really enjoyed my time with this game. The completionist in me enjoyed checking out the boxes and getting 100%. I look forward to going back and doing the speed runs for this game. That being said, I think Balatro is checked all the boxes for me when it comes to a game direction. Now, is it doing anything super new? It is a roguelite. It is a card game. That on itself is not a superb new direction for a game, but I think the way this game works with the combo multipliers and the way you can build your decks with the jokers, and just the way that like I've never knew how to play poker, but this game helped me learn the basics of poker, something I have no interest in, and made me care about those rules and the box of a roguelite, and twisted those different ideas together in a really fun way that worked for me and really worked for my brain when I saw the numbers go big, getting those big multipliers and high scores. It's a simple concept, kind of mashing these two things together, but I think it was done so well, and if for nothing else, I just want to pick Balatro for something. So best game direction goes Balatro. And then game of the year, like I said, same 6 games. Currently, my game of the year list, it's funny, I've played 4 of these 6 games so far. And like I said, I'm going to play Black Myth next month, and I'm going to play Metaphor once I beat Persona. But currently, my game of the year list is at number 4, Astrobot, number 3, Balatro, number 2, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree, and my current game of the year is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This game, while I had some gripes with the story, I loved, this game was beautiful. I loved the music. I loved the character interactions. I loved just seeing these places that, that I haven't been a lifelong FF7 fan. I only played the original back when Remake came out. But just seeing those areas like being excited to see how they're going to be brought to life in this big, beautiful 3D space was really some of the set pieces were really a sight to see. And then just with the all-time combat system in the Final Fantasy Remake series, and the way they add to that with the synergy attacks, where you like mix in more of like partners can pair up and do like a big combo attack together. That was a fun way to add to the already great system from Remake Part 1. The mini games in Golden Saucer, all the challenges in the Golden Saucer, and all the random mini games around the world. I think this game. Oh, and Queen's Blood. I didn't even talk about Queen's Blood. You could probably release Queen's Blood as a mobile game, and it would win Best Mobile Game. That was a fantastic distraction in this game. I think Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is so close to being a masterpiece for me. I still gave it a 10 on my little spreadsheet where I keep track of all the games I've played. I don't think it quite hit for me as much as Remake did. I think that story, I don't know, I think it might have just been because it was so new to me. It was like more, I was more attached to it. But Rebirth got right up close to that, and depending on how Part 3 shakes out, maybe I'll look back on Rebirth and with some of the decisions a little more fondly, and I'll appreciate it more. But even with my small gripes, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is my game of the year at this moment. Maybe Metaphor can unseat it. Who knows? But pretty confident in my vote here. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as my game of the year. So there we go. That's it. I've done all the categories that I felt like I could confidently vote in. Like I said, things like innovation, accessibility, and games for impact. I'm glad those genres exist. I don't personally feel like I have the understanding or the experience to speak to that. Then all the content creator of the year stuff, good for them. Esports, good for them. But I can't really speak to it. But alrighty, that's all we got today, folks. Thanks for watching. I would love to know in the comments what you would pick for Game of the Year, what you think best game direction means, and how you parse that out in your head, and maybe some snubs. What you think got snubbed from the awards? I know one thing people are going to say is probably Persona. Like I mentioned earlier, I think Persona got cannibalized by Metaphor. But there's some games I would have liked to see in here. Like I would have liked to see some more Prince of Persia show up somewhere. I did enjoy that Grand Blue Fantasy game I mentioned. What else came out this year? Paper Mario. It was a remake, so maybe that's why it didn't get a whole lot of attention. College football should have been in the sports category. That feels weird to not have in there. SteamWorld Heist 2. I really enjoyed SteamWorld Heist 2. I would have liked to see that in the indie game. Spot. Maybe just put a 6 slot there for SteamWorld Heist 2. I think that game didn't get near the appreciation it deserved. But yeah, that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment down below, like, subscribe, all that jazz, and we'll see you next time.